And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. This is one of the most famous lines of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven that sums up his dark literary career. Without the writing of Edgar Allan Poe, much of today's literature would not be the same, as he paved the way for the mystery genre. Throughout my research, I have learned a lot about Poe's life and his different accomplishments. The information I will be using to back up my points comes from a few different sources. Biography.com editors write an article on all of Poe's life. Censure, Mabbitt, and Barzoon write an article explaining Poe's early life and his accomplishments. And finally, Birch discusses many events in Poe's life, including the mystery around his death. Edgar Allan Poe was a revolutionary writer and poet whose ideas gave birth to a darker, more mysterious type of writing that had never been seen before. In this presentation, I will walk through Edgar Allan Poe's life and accomplishments, explaining his early life, the time he spent in the military, his writing career, and finally the mystery around his death. In order to discuss Poe's successes in his writing, we must first discuss his early life, which is what he drew a lot of inspiration from. Edgar Allan Poe's early life is where his grief that would last his lifetime and inspire his writing began. Censure, Mabbitt, and Barzoon say that Poe was born on January 19, 1809, to David Poe Jr. and Elizabeth Arnold Hopkins Poe. His father abandoned the family in 1810, and his mother then died a year later of tuberculosis. Poe was taken in by John Allan, assumed to be his godfather and his wife. Biography.com editors say that Poe married his cousin, Virginia Clem, who became his literary inspiration as well, and then died at age 24 of tuberculosis. And you can see a picture of Virginia Clem on this slide. When Poe went to the University of Virginia but ran out of funds to pay for it, he had to turn to gambling, which landed him in debt. When Poe returned from school, he found that his current fiancée had gotten engaged to someone else while he was gone. After Poe's early life, he went into the Army to take advantage of going to school at West Point, a school available to men in service. Poe was unable to support himself after he left college, so he joined the United States Army at age 18. While in the Army, Poe published his first book called Tamerlane and Other Poems. According to Biography.com, Poe got an appointment to the U.S. Military Academy at West Point through John Allan, who was his godfather. From the same source, Poe excelled at his studies at West Point, but then was kicked out after a year for his poor handling duties. Later in his life, Poe took his life experiences and made his writing career out of them. After Poe left West Point is when his writing career began to really shape. Poe was one of the first well-known American writers to try and live by writing alone. Poe landed an editorial position with the Southern Literary Messenger in 1835. Poe began to have problems with alcohol that started to affect his work life, and he quit the magazine in 1837. The publication of The Raven in 1845 made the poet a literary sensation, and he was paid only $9 for it. He published many poems and books in his lifetime and became the most well-known author of the mystery genre. After a life of great accomplishments, Poe's life ended the same as it was lived, mysteriously. The grief that followed Poe's entire life was finally released when he died. According to Birch, Edgar Allan Poe died on October 7, 1849. He exclaimed, "Lord, help my poor soul," as he died. It was a fitting end to a remarkable troubled life. Poe's final days are a bit of a mystery, as he left Richmond for Philadelphia but was later found in Baltimore in great distress. Poe's actual cause of death is widely speculated, and one cause has not been proven. Geoffrey Sayove, the secretary of Edgar Allan Poe Society of Baltimore, said, "His death is so shrouded by so much disinformation and lack of information that we don't know why he died and probably never will." Edgar Allan Poe was one of the foundation writers for dark, mysterious poetry, and much of this inspiration came from a life filled with pain and darkness. Edgar Allan Poe's accomplishments drew inspiration from his own struggles in life, from his early life to his time in the military and on to his death. Edgar Allan Poe was a revolutionary writer whose ideas gave birth to a darker, more mysterious type of writing that had never been seen before. Before researching for someone who shared my birthday, I knew of Edgar Allan Poe, but I didn't know much about him. After researching his life, I have realized how much the bad things in life can affect you, and it truly shows how someone can create something beautiful from darkness. These are the 3 references that I got my information from. And these are 4 picture references of the pictures that I used in this presentation. Are there any questions? Thank you.